It's just so exciting. We had a lot of people. I'm just going to go through. We're looking at the minutes from last month real quick, Melissa. Oh, this is Espa. Oh, I like how you spelled it though.
We see it.
I'd love to approve those minutes. Those beautiful minutes that you put together.
Okay. So
Perfect. Do you want to record? I am. Oh, okay.
And so I guess like if anyone is interested in seeing our bylaw, we are located at ohalahs.org. And I'm sorry, I don't remember last time. Oh, okay.
Oh, but you were online.
I feel like I was online last time, but I guess I didn't miss you. Okay.
Liam's mom, if you know Liam.
Okay.
Yes.
Classes that I walked through. Sorry, actually, but I didn't. So,
No,
I
perfect.
don't know if he. All of like the constants, or is that?
We don't need to. I just wanted to let everyone know that we are required to send them to Cause Snowing each year. So everybody should have a copy, and then she's going to be added to our roster as our parent rep now. She agreed. So thank you, our parent rep. And she did it with a smile even. We didn't even have to twist her arm last week. She was like, sure. Or last month.
Thank you.
She brings such a good perspective because they're new to the community, new to the high school. So we get a very good perspective of, yeah, I knew about this. I didn't know about this. So it's perfect. Perfect rep. Yep.
And then today,
Thank you. We're a little short today. So many sick people and big volleyball game for the girls.
Okay, and then we're gonna, I guess, start with our Q1 data update, which
Yep. So looking through at Q1, we're I think we talked a little bit about STAR, that we're using a new universal screener that only takes the students about 20 minutes to finish. So we feel like we get a better rating of where our kids are. In the past, we felt like they just rushed through because it could take some kids days. So this is the first time we've given this screener. And so I broke down, basically GE stands for grade equivalent. So this was one full school-wide report that I could pull up for reading and math. And we're going to be taking this again. We're required to give it 3 times a year. So students will be taking it again the week before winter break. So just so you have a breakdown of our current student population, we had 245 students that took the STAR reading and math, which is probably almost everyone, because at the beginning of the year, we've gotten about 10 new students since the school year started. So since we gave this. So if you look right here, over here shows the grade equivalent. So starting right here at 9.0 to 9.9 would be the 9th grade level. And then all the way up to 12th grade and above. So the middle column shows how many of our students tested at that grade level. So we had 25 that tested at the 9th grade level, 20 that tested at the 10th grade level, 14 at the 11th grade level, and 29 at 12th grade or higher. So you've got this chart over here where you can compare, okay, how many 9th graders do we have? We have 47. And we've got, about half of that number that tested at 9th grade. We have a lot of students, you can see right here, that are falling into that middle school range, or at least that's how they're testing out right now for STAR reading. And so that would include comprehension, vocabulary type questions. And then if you look over here, 88 out of 245 of the students that were tested are performing at a high school level in reading, according to this one snapshot taken at the beginning of the year when they came in. So what we'll be doing in January is taking a look at the scores from December and really examining the growth, because even if they're below level, we're looking to see that they're making growth and moving forward. 79 out of 245 of our students were performing at a high school level in math. And you can see the largest number for math at 48, or 20% of our students is around that 5th grade level in math. It's a conversation we've been having for a while. We're working to make up that gap. We're hoping to put in some interventions this quarter. And then I just finished meeting with the math and English department. We do have a new state requirement that came down this year. We have to adopt a curriculum. We want to ensure that grade level viable curriculum is being provided, that's been vetted for key components. So the math department and ELA department were given some resources yesterday to start checking out so that we can be ready to purchase a curriculum for each content area by the end of this year for implementation next year. Any questions about our STAR data from Q1, or trying to figure out what any of the numbers mean? Renaissance is used nationwide. I used it when I was in Florida. It's been around for a long time. The STAR Universal Screener. There's several schools in Hawaii that use it, and actually a lot of the high schools in West Hawaii were adopting the screener this year. So it would actually be nice to compare our Q1 data to the other high schools' data. So maybe I'll try and get those numbers so we can look and see how are our kids ranking. Next month, we'll be looking at our Strive High results, which show our standardized test scores from our 11th graders. And that does have comparisons to the state and to and nationwide as well.
So they're performing at high school level. That doesn't necessarily
On
correlate
grade
at
level.
their grade level.
Correct. Yep. I think for me, if they're at least, if you're a 12th grader and you're at 9th grade, at least you're performing at that high school level. If you're about to leave, you've got a 9th grade reading level, which is going to help you access most materials, right?
For any of those that are performing at 12th grade level,
We can dig deeper into the data and look into
Yeah.
that. But I know at least 2. Yeah. And yeah, I think at least 1 or 2 of those was above 12th grade level,
Yep.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice too, because it is a computer, which is standardized. So it does kind of like. Yes, right. As you want to.
Yeah, it adjusts as you get answers correctly. What's interesting is historically our kids really struggle with math, but we do have a larger percentage of students that are at that 12th grade level for math than we do for reading. Just so interesting. But yeah, in 11th grade, same number. So it would be interesting to look more student specific. Is it the same, mostly the same students that are scoring high in both, or is there a pretty big discrepancy? Is it different students? Great wonderings and questions about the data. Any other thoughts or questions about our STAR data? All right, and so now what? Because we obviously could use some academic support. So departments are meeting weekly and they're going to be developing common strategies to implement, and they'll review data together to determine what to do when students don't get it and how to extend the learning when they do. So every Wednesday, departments meet. They review student data, they work on common formative assessments, they talk about what's working, what isn't, and they will be identifying like a common strategy, looking at the data a little bit deeper and what would be a strategy that might help our students with that. We did want to make sure that everyone also knows about our in-school support that we're providing. So every morning before school, 7:15 to 7:45 with EAs, there's tutoring. Every day after school, except Wednesdays with EAs until about 3:20, they're also doing tutoring. And then on Fridays after lunch, we have PLO time, or personalized learning opportunity time, where teachers sign up students to come work with them to make up things that they missed, give them some extra time to reteach if they struggled on something that week. And then on Mondays and Thursdays, we just started quarter 2 from 3 to 5. These are two of our wonderful teachers that are tutoring after school from 3 to 5 for all subjects. And then that same time in the room just next door, they're also providing SAT and ACT prep and practice with just that format. And that's open to, these are open to anyone. You do need a permission slip if you stay after school, but before school you do not. And so we're going to be putting those out again in our newsletter. Their students can pick them up in classrooms and at the office. There's some QR codes. So we can also send it home to families digitally if they need. All right, here's the first quarter attendance so far. So what you're looking at here is this is the number of students, 130 in August, that had low absentee rates. So they're still in the green. So that was almost half of our students in August. Moderate was 20% and still less than 15 days, but considered high absences was 77 students, or almost 30%. And then we already had one chronically absent student. That means they had 15 or more absences within the month of August. So September, it's going to continue to build. So you start, maybe losing some numbers as more drop down here into that high absentee rate. So we dropped to 41% being low on the absentee levels, and almost 38% that still had less than 15, but they were in that high area. So not showing any chronic students, but I know we already do have, so I'm not sure why they didn't show up on this particular report, because we just did our chronic absenteeism. Do you remember how many were on that?
It was about
there
10,
was
I think.
maybe like 13 or 14 students that have already had 15 absences or more. So some of those students received pre-court letters, we call them. It's a letter from a judge reminding them of their legal responsibility to get their students to school every day. Some had reminders that about this right here, actually, 3 tardies or 3 homeroom absences equals 1 full day absence, because we had a lot of kids that just weren't coming for homeroom. So all those homerooms add up to like 9 absences already when you do that for an entire quarter. We also had some people that got perfect attendance certificates. We had a lot of students that got on track attendance, so they know at least that they're where they should be. Because really, if you're missing more than 4 days a quarter, you're already off track and set to be chronically absent by the end of the year. So we're really trying to keep kids below that 15. We're working with students who are already over that and families to see how we can support them in getting here, because we do see a connection with kids that aren't here and the amount of F's that we have, or they have actually. You have to be here to learn and to get the work done and to be able to show what you can do. So just some reminders about attendance. Homeroom, it's a little controversial, but homeroom's only 15 minutes. And what we're measuring and working on is that professional skill of being on time. It is the number one complaint of employers, talking about how they just can't get people to show up. And if they do, they kind of show up on their own time. So for homeroom, it only lasts 15 minutes. So you're either present or you're not. Even if you show up just a few minutes late, you're counted absent. There are no tardies in homeroom. There's still some teachers marking kids tardy in homeroom, but we've got to go back and change those. So those do count. We try to use that time to set kids up for success for the day, check in with them, give them reminders about special things happening that day, and just kind of make eyes with them as they walk in the door. How are you doing, kind of thing, before they head off into their first class for the day. So another reminder, it only takes 15 absences for you to be chronically absent. And that is justification for court, for a referral to court, but we work really hard with families to try and see why students are absent, how we can help support them, how we can get them here. If they're not coming to school because of concerns, they don't have friends or they have some mental health issues, then we're able to connect them with some counseling supports. If there's other things, we're able to adjust schedules to try and help them and build back up to a regular schedule. So we do have some things we can do. We just need families to communicate with us why the students aren't coming. And I know those automated phone calls can get annoying, but we've had times when students are absent and the parents didn't know. And so even when they get the calls, the student's like, oh no, my teacher, there was a sub, they just forgot to take attendance. So I know families get a little annoyed by that, but it's important to pay attention when you're getting those calls. Use Infinite Campus. If you don't have access to that, you can call the school because you can check your child's attendance at any time. That's right. Yeah. Mhm. Right. So there's a note down here at the bottom that says calling, sending a note, or getting a doctor's note helps us determine next steps. So they were absent. Yeah. So I know it makes parents feel better to see a green absent excused. In the eyes of the state, any absence is an absence. So even if it says AE versus AU for unexcused, it still counts in the state's eyes. So because if we could excuse anything, then no one would be chronically absent because schools would just decide, yeah, you said you're there. That sounds good. I'm going to mark you because that helps the school, right? But what we do, so that's the only way to turn it to green and have it say absent excused. You would still get a call for that though, because he was not present for, say, periods 1 and 3 or homeroom or whatever. But if you call, we're able to in our system make a note. So I think if you didn't get his report card yet, you'll see it has a report for attendance in there. And anytime there was a call, it'll have a note in there that says had migraine, mom brought him late, had a doctor's appointment for mom. It'll have that note in there. So when that's the case, we don't count that for our purposes for follow-up, because we know there's some students that haven't come to school for 2 weeks and we haven't been able to reach the parents. They never came back from fall break. And that is something that's concerning that we would follow up on. But as long as you're letting us know or jot a note as he comes that he can turn in, they make a note of that on his attendance. So it still says absent unexcused, but it affects how we follow up. Yeah. I know parents get worried if it's not excused that they're going to hit 15 and go to court. And the courts are very big on you need to be doing everything you can to support the family and have tried everything. You can't just send a family to court because they hit that number 15. So we have to be able to show on our end, oh no, the family called in. If you hit 15, but you've called in and had justifiable reasons for each absence, we can't take you to court. The judge would be like, these are viable reasons. They told you why. Thank you. So
you know, we have to go to school and then study them. It's part of it. Well,
which we appreciate.
this policy kept something, you know, but you know,
No, if they're sick, we note that and we take their word for it. We don't challenge if people are just saying that they're sick. If they stayed home and let us know they're sick, we don't count that against anybody. And we encourage people, if you're not feeling well, to stay home. If there's anyone who's not sure, the best thing is, or if they show up and they're not looking good, teachers will refer them to our registered nurse, since we have a registered nurse on campus now. And if your child goes home through the nurse's office, that is an excused absence, because that's the same as going to the doctor. So even if someone did come to school sick, they'd probably get sent home if they're not feeling well, because they come down to the health room themselves or their teachers send them. Yeah.
policy. Somebody just called it the same testimony. But you really for everything, you know,
Yeah.
like it's slowly stepping in anymore right now, you know.
Our families have,
Sick, you know, too.
our kids have been really good, and families, they call us and let us know, because then that is actually, I should have that under excused absences, because it is still it's under the state guidelines of, if you have COVID, you stay home for 5 days and then you can come back after 5 days, as long as you're wearing a mask and don't have heavy symptoms. Yeah. So we've had families calling us. We probably need to do better at letting families know. They can let us know if they have COVID so that they call in, because we've had kids absent and then we call and they let us know, or they come back to school and they tell their teacher, oh, I had COVID, miss. and we didn't know, they were just absent for a week, right? So we probably need to get that out a little bit better. But I've even had some families, because we've had some type of a flu or something going around, and so families have been keeping their kids home because they're not feeling well, or they're concerned about people at home getting sick because of what's going around right now. So the community's always been pretty conscientious about that. The biggest thing we're battling is students that are student athletes that don't want to miss games or practices that will come to school sick. But our athletic trainer or our nurse or teachers usually catch that and require them to check in before they practice and put themselves at risk if they're already sick. Yeah, great questions. We might need to add in. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so a few things, we did talk about some of these now what's. We did send home some letters at Q1 telling families, because of the absences, they may be getting a call from a representative at school to meet with their child, or them to come up with a contract of what everybody's going to commit to moving forward to get their child to school. We provided already, our social worker, Adrienne Gandalf, is amazing. And so she's done some home visits. She also she can provide through email, or she sends home even pamphlets and resources depending on why the student's been sick, so that she can connect families with resources we have some students in Waikoloa, some up here, some in Kauai. So she connects them to the resources that are closest to them, whether it's counselors or if there's anything involving substance abuse. If we find that out through the follow-up on attendance, then she works with the families to help them. Just talked about some of those things we sent home for Q1 or mailing out soon. And then we are going to have a training, an implementation training for project-based learning. Just having engaging lessons and projects. We know through some of the things we've started doing in CTE, kids want to come to school when they're involved in more hands-on, relevant, engaging activities. So that's another way that we're working to get kids to school more. All right, and I'll give you a minute to look at our behavioral data. So just as a reminder, class A are the top level offenses. Class B are the more considered minor offenses versus major offenses. So on the left column are the things that I've received referrals for, and then the number of those referrals that aligns with that.
In this year?
This quarter already.
Oh.
Yeah. In first quarter.
How does that compare to
To last school year?
last quarter? First
Oh, that is first quarter.
Oh, that was
Yeah. We're definitely already seeing a higher level of class A and class B offenses. For the first quarter, we normally do not have that high level of offenses already. Usually the majority of them are cell phone use. Last year we had a lot of cell phone use, disruption, disrespect, plagiarism. That was for the majority of the year. So having this number of harassment, assault, we actually had a lot more higher numbers on vaping last year. We've not, at least have not taught the students. We know that it's happening because we're hearing from students that it is. So some of the things that we're working on to help students with behavioral and mental health support, and definitely some of those higher levels, we are seeing some connections to some potential mental health support that's needed. So we are signed up to work with Hazel Health, which students are connected with a counselor online. They go to a private room by themselves with an iPad and they can get their counseling at certain times during the day here. They can also connect with that person outside of school because some students, they feel more comfortable with that, number one, or they need access to that service at a different time. But there's also so many students that need that. The psychologists in town and our counselors are booked with students that need their support. So that's just another option of mental health support that we're able to provide now. There is a new online platform through the Hawaii Department of Education that we are signed up for. We have not rolled it out yet, but it's called Trust Circle. And it does daily check-ins. We have select students on it. So some of the students that have had some difficulties this year have already been invited to Trust Circle to start using it. It has resources for them to check out on their own in private. It does a daily check. You can send messages to people, all positive messages that are already pre-constructed. So it's almost like texting, but it's already pre-populated messages and nothing negative can be sent. So you can find one that matches somebody that supported you, or like me, or the counselor can send messages to students that we see have been working hard just to kind of keep encouraging them. So we're going to hopefully be rolling that out by the second half of the year to everybody. But right now we're just kind of piloting it with a few kids who have shown some higher needs. The middle school and the high school both have a program called Character Strong this year that teachers have received have had two training opportunities in, that just all talks about your character and has some activities. Right now, the majority of what we're using are character dares, like daring you to send nice messages to somebody, find a teacher that you can thank for what they've done, just encouraging them to build some of those positive characteristics that when you do something nice for others, it comes back to you type thing. Also encouraging students to talk and dig a little bit deeper into how they're feeling and their feelings. We're also, working on through Character Strong classroom strategies and building relationships with teachers. So we did do a quarter 1 student check-in. We asked the students name 3 adults that you connect to or feel safe with on campus, 3 students, and what's one activity that you connect with. Very few students, less than 10 out of 255, said, I don't know, or couldn't name an adult or a student or an activity. Most had activities, which was really good. We also asked them about things that are going well or that they think are good at school. One of the number 1 answers was the teachers, which was really nice to hear. And I haven't even shared that with them yet, but that was one of the top responses. And then Oh, then we did ask them about what are some things that you want the school to think about, maybe doing a little bit differently. I've not had a chance to look at all of that yet. But we've already started using this. If students come up as struggling, we look and say, who did they list as their safe person, or did they have somebody that they feel comfortable with? And we've been able to connect them right away. If we have next steps, it's like, let's have that person do it. That person can have the conversation. So we're hoping that is, we're thankful that kids have people they can reach out to, because research shows it only takes one person to make a difference in the life of a child. And most of our students were able to name at least 3, plus had at least a group of 1 to 3 friends that they felt strongly about. So we're thankful to have that resource now to be able to provide some additional support for our students that are struggling. This week, the staff also, every year, we're required to do a trauma-informed training to better understand trauma and its effects on people, but specifically our students. So we know signs to look for if there's concerns over suicide, or even just how that behavior comes out when that behavior is related to some type of trauma. I don't know if either of you want to share anything from Danny Boyer's training Tuesday. I unfortunately was on Oahu, so I've got to catch his next one. I just emailed him because I heard really good things about it.
It was like stories and kind of like like it was just like how the work do different how like I don't know, because I get really frustrated with doing certain things. It's like a reminder that there's still a little bit because they haven't their prefrontal cortex. So they still need guidance, they still need like boundaries, they still need consequences, they need all the help kind of them better and also help like deal with the things that are already present within their lives, but moving forward, trying to make it manageable. He was great. I'm kind of hoping that he comes back and does this.
He set that up.
Yeah, it was really awesome. And it's like how he made like real life experiences, with his kids and just with his life in general. And I think playing a part when you're a speaker with using real life experiences, I mean, that really kind of like clicks on it. You know what I mean? And he kind of like talked in terms that we understood and kind of like related.
He's a local brother.
He was a local brother. Yeah, he was, and I'm gonna lie, he was awesome. Like, I wish we could have another like discussion.
We definitely will, because literally I got out of my car Wednesday and someone that was walking up the stairs said, our training yesterday was awesome. And then a couple of teachers had mentioned to me as well, this is the first year we've had him. We've had different trainers. We've been trying to find different approaches to the training. It is mandatory, but you're hearing the same information each year. You really need to hear it in different ways. So from what I'm hearing, from what teachers told me as he was doing the scenarios or talking about certain things, they could think of a student in their class or at our school that information related to, that helped them better understand that student, which is what we need. So unfortunately, the first couple of years were all online because of COVID. So trying to do trauma training online is just not as effective. So we'll definitely try and have him back for more.
Bring him back.
And thank you, because Melissa's on the call. So I'm hoping she's writing this down, because they're the ones that connected us to him for this training. And I believe middle school's getting the same training, or did they already do it?
I think they did already.
They might have done it already. I'm not too sure if it was with Danny though. Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
They might have done the training. I'm not too sure if it was with Danny though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I can find out that information and try to schedule those that missed it, and then try to input it together as a combined. Yeah.
And I'll forward you the email that I just sent him, because I'm not sure I remembered to CC anybody. Double check, because I did ask him if he could do a makeup training, maybe with all 3 schools for anyone that missed it. But now I want to also see about a potential follow-up if there's some additional information he could share.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you. And then we've been working all quarter on coming up with our Kohala High School values. So part of a training that was offered to all of the schools in West Hawaii during the summer was around behavior management. And they suggested coming up with values that align to what you want to relate all behaviors on your campus to look like and in all different areas. And so we're the Cowboys, or Paniolo, which is pretty long to have 7 to 8 values. They really suggest to make it more powerful. It's about 3 to 4. Our middle school and elementary school both have 5 in their mascot, so it worked out a little bit better. They're the Hawks and the Colts. So our motto is Kohala Cowboys Rise to the Challenge. So we used the word rise to come up with 4 values. And so staff gave feedback, students in homeroom gave feedback, and then we kind of condensed all that information, looked at the words that showed up the most, and then the staff finalized and voted on the 4. So the 4 words that were chosen were resilience, integrity, steadfast, and excellence. And so our next steps are to come up with collaborative definitions. So everybody has the same understanding of what that word means. And then we'll make what's called a behavior matrix. What does resilience look like in the classroom, in the cafeteria, after school events? What does integrity look like in those same areas? What does excellence looks like with use of technology? What does that look like? So we'll be coming up with that. That'll get us all on the same page, using the same words, the same definitions, reminding kids, even being able to say, your resilience with that was amazing, great job. And just continuing to reiterate and teach, because we know that a big part of student behavior is not just reactive. The biggest part is being proactive and setting those boundaries, and letting kids know what the expectation is and what it looks like. So that's a little bit. Any questions or thoughts about our behavior data and some of the things that we're doing on campus?
Students do get into the, you know,
Yeah, usually when there is a higher level offense where safety has been compromised, students are usually suspended, and then there's follow-up afterward, whether it's counseling, they, for the time that they would normally have recess, or lunch and recess during the afternoons, they have that time with a counselor in the office, or they're meeting with somebody. Sometimes they're talking with me. They just lose that unstructured time. They lose their cell phone. Things that would contribute to, or things that contributed to that even taking place in the first time, are usually taken away. With chapter 19, it's not a set, if you do this, this will happen. There's 5 factors that we have to follow, but with our higher level offenses, safety has been compromised. So some higher level consequences have taken place.
So when somebody does, you meet with them and often where they come.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a whole, we usually meet with the family then. Depending on how long they're out, I usually at least have a phone conference with them and talk about what the expectations are going to be when they come back. And then the day the student comes back, they have to check in with me before they go anywhere else on campus. Just to reiterate what the expectation is, remind them, so you'll be coming back here this morning instead of going to recess. We've had times where if there's an incident between 2 students and one or both parties don't feel safe, we create walking paths, and they have to walk certain ways on campus so they have less of a chance of running into each other, just to provide that space. We'll have mediations with students once things have settled down, to try and restore back to at least some type of a common agreement that will keep our space and we won't bother each other. A lot of times the kids used to be friends, and so trying to understand where things went wrong, what happened, the counselors get involved in that. We've even had mediations with families this year as well. We do our best to cut down on the rumors. We have had two of these offenses were people that inserted themselves into a situation that they really didn't belong in. And so they had some consequences because of what they were doing, kind of stirring the pot after the fact. We've also, you have some people that witness something that is pretty traumatic for them because it happened right in front of them. And so there's counseling offered for those students as well. Yeah, we've had some students filming. So some of that's also, yeah, and sharing it or sharing information and keeping it going, keeping the situation from, not allowing the situation to die down.
Kids in the school, they have to learn how to, either walk away, standards, is
Yeah, that's what the counselors work with them on after the fact is what were your other options? Because a lot of times kids feel like I didn't have a choice. Miss, I didn't have a choice. P comes up to me, I don't have a choice. There's always other choices. It may not be your favorite choice. It may not be the one you want to pick, but there's always more than one choice. And trying to help them recognize strategies that they can use so they don't get so heightened so quickly. Trying to find out who else was involved that might have made things even worse because a lot of times we find that it's other kids that are talking and saying he said that he wants to, and then the two people that are fighting don't even know why they're fighting, right? Because of things they heard, unfortunately. Yeah. Just a quick update on our safety and drills. We are required to have a fire drill once a quarter, so we finished both of our fire drills. We participated in the Great Shakeout, which millions of people participate in worldwide, actually, on 10/19 at 10/19. It's every year. And that was our just a simple earthquake drill on practicing what to do. There was a slideshow that was shared with homeroom teachers to show to their homeroom class as well. We had, in coordination with the Kohala Police Department, we had our lockdown drill, an active shooter drill. They came in, talked with our staff the week before, and then we practiced our lockdown drill. They were really impressed with how quiet it was. We do still have some rooms where there's no kids were able to be seen in any rooms, but we do have at least one room where there's a lot of windows that we've been working with our local group that comes to do work on campus and even just trying to get some wood slats instead of glass slats in those windows to try and help with that. And then we had our fire inspection the day after we got back from fall break and our second fire drill for the year. The outcome from with that was just we need some additional exit signs. So most rooms have the lighted exit signs, but where they don't, we need to at least have a sign. So if there's an emergency, if people aren't thinking clearly, they can at least look for where's the door that I can leave from, right? So there's only a few classes where we needed some additional exit signs. But they said the biggest thing was our drill that they watched, that everyone got out of the buildings quickly and safely, and that's the biggest part. So they were really happy with that. Students weren't messing around, talking or anything. And then we have one more drill that we need to do before winter break, and that's our off-campus evacuation. We're hoping to be able to do it at the library because we usually evacuate to Takata, and they're in the middle of putting all those nice covers in their parking lot, so it makes it a little more difficult. So we're gonna try and set that up before December. Any thoughts on the safety and drills so far for the year? We finished all of our drills in first semester. All of the drills are required to be done, plus the fire drills once a quarter. And then second semester, we just have 2 fire drills to finish, 1 each quarter. Elementary practices their fire drill monthly. They're required to do it monthly. And then student council update. We had an amazing haunted Halloween bash. Love to
Sorry,
hear
my
you
brain.
share about it.
Yes, we had a successful haunted bash. We didn't expect that much people to show up, and which was amazingly had a lot. Having first pickup. It was over. I'm not gonna lie, 150 kids went to the haunted house. Yes. We had to stop it. That would be all night. All the classes had sold on their the food items along with their games. So all the classes can make money along with student costs. It was a huge success, and hopefully we can do another big event. Just one feedback was that the elementary parents was like, "Where's the costume parade?" And I said, "Oh."
Costumes, nobody wore costumes when they went to are supposed to wear costumes.
Super naughty, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Laurel, thank you, Miss Laurel. You're the lady. Yeah, no, but yeah.
The little kids did.
There were some
Yeah,
great
so that was the
costumes.
only
Yeah.
one of the feedback was that, and then next year, a lot of the parents was like, "Is this gonna be an annual event?" And I was like, "Okay." So, into the spirit, yes. I mean, besides, we had some roadblocks last minute. We overcame our roadblocks, but overall, it was.
It
That
was
was
extremely haunted because none of our lights, we had a short circuit
yeah.
and none of our lights were working in the outside area. So it added to the ambiance. We just had to string some extra.
It was Halloween, exactly. School just want to get more family engagement. Because then a lot of times high schoolers, parents forget about the high schoolers because they just figure out they have high school already. So we just want to bring more like family engagement to show that there's still kids.
Not a lot of high schoolers showed up. I mean, the ones that were involved.
That were working.
And then there was,
It's
Yeah.
it's mostly like.
and middle school, yeah.
Middle school, a little
That's
bit,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could set some up, for like maybe the students do the data or something, do like a separate. I don't know, maybe show like a scary movie or something.
Yeah. No, you're totally correct. You're totally.
Like
A dance,
like
or a dance and-
before
yeah.
against, like
Yeah.
haunted house or something, that's a little spooky then for the. So something.
Right. Yeah, no, that's why it's like more.
It's great. I
Yeah,
love it,
exactly. That is one thing.
Finding contests is my favorite.
Oh, yeah?
I was too late to enroll, but hey.
Shucks. I heard what the was fight too.
Right?
Yeah, so, but, and then now Suko is working on, actually Halloween, they're gonna do, a costume at school and then an activity. And then after that, we're working on winter ball. And a homecoming is like back to back. That's the two big events. that's
Yeah,
coming
do you
up.
want to share about how we rotate sports for
Oh,
homecoming?
so homecoming is rotated sports. So usually last year was football. This year is basketball. And then basketball, it's so sad this year that there's only like 2 home games on a Saturday. And so, yeah, and so like the first home game is on a Saturday, which is the beginning. Like we didn't even like reach back from fall break. I mean winter break. So we cannot really do homecoming that day because it's like school is still happening. And then the last Saturday will be senior night. So we're doing it on a Friday. And the kids don't know if like against Christian Liberty. So but that's on a Friday night. The rest of the games is a Tuesday Monday, Wednesday night, so it's really hard to plan home. So it's basketball season this year. And then winter ball is because of what you call it? Finals. We're gonna have finals, so we didn't wanna like kind of like have a prep rally during finals week, so we're gonna do it like the week after the next 22 years winter celebrate. The end of
Celebrate that
Yeah,
everybody passed their
celebrate it.
finals. No more
Yeah,
Fs.
so that will be basketball, and it's open to all students, freshmen to seniors. And we're trying to get a bus so that the underclassmen who cannot drive can ride the bus, and then they'll go to and they'll be safe. Taking care of all of our people.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else from student council?
Sorry, my brain
It's been
is
busy.
I've been so busy, my brain is just one stuff. But yeah, it's going big.
It was so nice though for our clubs and our classes to have a chance to have another fundraiser opportunity, and they in a short period of time made some good money. So they were even happier leaving. They were like, this work was worth it. Okay. And so our next meeting was supposed to be the week, or I think the 16th, because we have Thanksgiving. We were trying, or the time we normally meet, I think was going to fall at a weird time. But I am going to be in Arizona now on the 16th at a conference. So I'm hoping November 30th works for everybody. It's the last Thursday of the month. Because yeah, I think the 4th is actually Thanksgiving and school's closed.
I think PID was basing when they were having their meeting on when they thought we were having ours.
And yeah, I just realized, so I was supposed to be back on the 15th, and apparently there's no flights that leave Arizona on the 15th. So we have to wait and leave on the 16th now, which we won't have to miss the last day of the conference. But yeah, I thought we'd be able to fly at night and just do a red eye on the 15th and be back, but there was nothing. So hopefully the 30th works. And then all of the school results, the Strive High results are the big, comprehensive data reports that come out every year for all of the schools. And they were supposed to be out by this meeting, but they got held, and I believe they're going public November 2nd. So we'll make sure that we include our Strive High results, some of the main data points in our next newsletter that we send out, and make sure that we show you, at least provide a link where you can access them as well. There's a whole new format this year. They're beautiful and give a lot of clear information about the school. I feel like they're really a lot more user friendly. We were able to check them out this week. So the good news is our attendance chronic absence rate was lower than I thought it was. It went in the right direction. We thought it had gone on a little bit, but their records show even better. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with everybody at the November meeting, but we'll show you where you can get access before then as well. All right. Anything else before?
One quick question.
Yep.
Bike racks. A lot more kids now have school, right? And I haven't looked at where the bike rack is at all. I just know it's not covered, right? And here, so you can't leave your bike.
That's a good point.
Is there a chance of putting it somewhere where the bikes are protected?
Can you make a note of that?
We call them the INAKEA
INAKEA crew.
We call them the INAKEA bike crew. They are.
Oh, yeah, I haven't even seen that. So our bike rack is just in front of the office. You'll probably see it as you leave. It is under a tree, but it's not completely protected if it rains. So we'll look into seeing if there's something we can if we can move it closer to the building and even have, some type of a canopy cover at minimum that may be able to help. We'll have to look at that. Yeah. Yeah, I never even thought of that.
Their bikes to school, he said like there's about 4 or 5 of them, that rain regularly.
There's three, maybe,
Yeah, or 3 or 4 or something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
but there's
But there's a lot more kids, who got like their bikes, their parents have to go really early to work or something. So to school.
but there's.
I didn't even think about the electric bikes because I do see they fill up the rack pretty good up front, and I usually see the kids because it's right outside my office window. So I'll hear them singing, playing their music while they're getting ready to leave or when they pull in. But I did not realize they had some with electric bikes.
Oh, yeah, they have a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, they lazy paddle.
But
But maybe they come to school and they know exactly.
Yep, yep, we like that.
Yeah. But there's a
Okay.
lot of kids and
Yeah.
they all
Okay.
know who's coming later, what happened like along the way, and they keep each other all on task. Like, oh, they
That's
have to
good.
stop because they only needed some more drinks, so they have to stop at like the store and then okay, now they I hear them all in the morning just
It's like that nice transition between a regular bike and a car with the freedom, right? You can get to a lot more places with that electric bike. Okay,
Can I get a motion?
second.
No, get a motion first.
Motion, I motion to adjourn.
Okay, so meeting adjourned at 6:06.
Thank you.
thank you,
I
everybody.
know, but I mean, I thought-
Thank you.
Melissa, see you later.
Yeah.
I just was like, yes, I get it. Automatically. Come on, Jess, you don't be already by now. Come on, girl.